Hello, everybody. I'm Sam Harrell. I'm a public information officer working with the Alaska Incident Management Team here on the Creek Fire. It's November 1st. With me is Byron Kimball. He's a fire behavior analyst. Byron and I have been working close together. We've both been through COVID testing. We've been screened each day, and we're kind of working as a module of one. We're limiting our outside exposure to people when we are around other folks. We're masked up, we're socially distanced. But what that is doing is that's allowing us to be able to work a little closer together with each other and not have our masks on. So please don't be alarmed about what you're seeing here. What we have here with us, though, is we have another one of the infrared video from the Firewatch Cobra helicopter that is patrolling the fire and helping us monitor the fire lines, and particularly the fire lines that are on that open northeastern edge that's on the Junction Bluffs there above the San Joaquin, middle fork of the San Joaquin River and Fish Creek, and clearly visible from the Mammoth area, all right? So what we're seeing in this video here, let me start this video so Byron and I can talk about it here. He's starting out showing us the high point across from Fish Creek, and what we're seeing in here is the hot, bright spots of the infrared camera showing some intense heat. Like, what are we seeing here, Byron?
Well, right here on the left-hand side is his infrared cameras, and those intense, you can see the rock, but then the intense white is heat being detected by his infrared camera, and that's where fuel on the ground is actually being consumed, generating heat. If we had folks out there, there might be some flame involved, but for the most part, it's probably just embers and things smoldering and glowing.
But going back to his normal view,
when here in his normal view, you can see, there is a snag right here that appears to be have a little fire in it. There was a little bit of ground fire off to the right, but nothing significant. No, major. These are pockets, isolated pockets of fuel that are being consumed.
In these rock slides, in these gullies and everything between the rocky area and the high country up there.
Yeah, the rock, any rock catches stuff, and so anywhere the rock might have caught some soil from blowing stuff around, and then it might catch a seed, you're going to get stuff growing in rocks in places that you don't expect it to. And
that's giving us our fuel load.
And that's giving us our fuel load from the trees.
Okay.
You're blowing needle cast around and stuff into these rocks, and that then presents someplace for an ember to land to then consume that fuel out in these rock bluffs.
Now, some of his shots here, as he switches between his normal camera view and infrared, the infrared seems to show us a large hot spot, but when he shows us normal, it seems like it's just a rocky field.
Right, and one of those is very evident. We'll see it here a little bit later. Granite rock is infamous for holding heat. Once you heat it up, it holds heat very, very well. Granite rock is a volcanic rock.
Very dense rock.
A very dense volcanic rock. So when you have, you put pumice and pieces of volcanic lava in your barbecue for the intent to hold heat and generate heat, granite does the same thing.
Okay.
So on an IR shot, you're going to see that heat radiating out of the rock, which makes it appear to be, that if it's all one scale, would look like a large area of hot fuel. When if you actually look at it, it's not.
And this is from fire from several days ago. This is, he's around 10:30 in the morning making this video.
Right, this is not sunlight having hit that rock and warmed it up.
Okay.
In the heat of the summer,
okay.
That's one of the things why we really ask for, when we get our IR flights in this fuel type and in these areas, we want them as late in the night as we can get them, so that the rock has a chance to cool off.
Okay.
Now here in this one, you can see he's got the IR, lots of intense heat on the ground, lots of bright spots, but you can see the smoke also in his IR, and there's nothing in the smoke. The smoke actually doesn't show up well.
It's very
on
thin, wispy smoke.
Very thin, wispy, and there's no embers in it.
Okay,
The embers are going to show up if we were carrying embers. If embers were being lofted up into that smoke column on an IR shot, you would see them. They're a heat source just like the heat
Okay.
is on the ground.
Okay.
You can see ember showers in an IR.
okay,
And so by looking at these and seeing the smoke columns that are being produced, we're not seeing those ember showers. We're not
Okay.
seeing that ember production, which leads me to believe that the majority of that fuel is being consumed on the ground, and the fuel is so dry that it's not producing a whole lot of embers. The fire is consuming those fuels on the ground and not having anything left over, if you will, to be lofted
okay.
by the convective heat in the smoke column.
And mentioning that ember showers is important. I mean, as people in Mammoth who have been there for a while are going to remember the 92 Rainbow Fire, when the fire was yet still up here in the high country, but the ember showers reached Mammoth miles away.
And that's when you have convective lift going on in a fire. That is one of our concerns, both on the fire line and in any place that we have fire up against an inhabited community, is that spotting potential by those ember showers and by that convective column, that lifting heat. Heat has the ability, when it rises, it has strength, if you will. It has the ability to lift stuff up and carry it with it if it's light enough and aerodynamic enough. And that's what we see in those ember showers, are small pieces of wood, bundles of needles, leaves, things like that are being able to maintain heat, maintain combustion.
Okay,
And then being heavy enough that there's enough material there to maintain that combustion and not be fully consumed, but yet be light enough to be carried by the wind and by that convective heat. And
Now-
they can be carried for quite a ways. What we're not seeing, or what we're seeing from this fire currently,
This
is
video here is-
it's not doing that. We're not
Okay.
producing those embers.
and this video was made on the 31st, so the day before today that Byron and I are visiting. But now our meteorologist is telling us we're expecting a change in the weather towards the weekend here.
Towards the weekend, we have a southwest wind flow coming in associated with a low pressure system that's moving in over Southern California. We will get the main impact that we're going to see from it is southwest winds, which we haven't seen over the fire in at least a couple of weeks, which could push that northeast side of the fire. Associated with those, once the little bit of the front actually comes in, we're going to see an increase in relative humidity, which is really going to help us
Yes,
because it will increase the fuel moisture, particularly in the very fine fuels, the grasses, the pine needles, things like that. It'll increase that fuel moisture to a level to which, for a lot of them, they'll be actually taken out of the equation. We won't be able to burn those because there's too much moisture.
and those fine fuels, that's like the kindling that I start my wood stove with.
That is
those small
that's
fine things, a good piece of paper in there.
Good piece of paper. When we talk fine fuels, we're talking fuels that are less than 1/4 of an inch in diameter.
Okay,
So that's pine needles, that's grass, lots of surface area, very little volume, so that they gain and lose moisture very quickly.
okay, okay.
And why that's important is the fire, to burn that fuel has to be completely dry. The fire has to generate enough energy to evaporate all that water out of the fuel.
Okay.
If the fire doesn't have enough energy to evaporate the water out, or there's too much water, the fuel
And-
doesn't burn.
As scattered as this is now today, we're not seeing that strong heat built up.
We are not seeing the ability for it to build up a lot of heat. This scattered fuel, you're going to get little pockets of intense heat, but you're not going to get that large fire front that kind of builds on itself,
Okay.
that generates lots of heat out ahead of itself, that's doing what we call preheating the fuels. That's what that preheating means, is it's driving off that moisture. It's raising that fuel temperature up towards 400 degrees.
combustible
to
point.
get that to that point that wood or that cellulose combusts
Okay.
and lends itself to ignition. And we're just not seeing, at the moment, we're not seeing that capability. We just don't have those large expanses of fuel out there that are gonna lend themselves to that.
So here we are, and we're anticipating this weather front coming in. Using tools like this Firewatch Cobra helicopter, we're monitoring what's going on up there. I believe yesterday we posted a video from the 30th. Here today, we're sharing a video from the 31st. We're actively monitoring what is happening on this open portion of the fire.
We do have aerial resources, both fixed wing to where we could lay retardant lines and rotor wing helicopters, both large helicopters and small helicopters that would be able to go out and be very, very pinpoint accurate, if you will, to be dropping water.
Okay.
To be, if we saw something that's starting to build up a head of steam that's gonna cause us issues, we have the ability to, we have people watching it, they can see it building up, they can call the helicopters in, we can put helicopters on it and put water on it before it starts to get troublesome.
And with the steep terrain, the safety factors are also, there's no safe way to escape should the fire start to threaten firefighters.
Exactly, that's one of the reasons, one of the things we look at, that even if we could easily put troops out there, there's no place for them. If things were to turn bad, hey, we've got to get troops out of there quickly. They've got to move to get someplace. That ground is not set up in a way for people to move across easily.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be having to try and get folks out into these big open rocky areas, but that we've just shown have got pockets of fuel in them.
Right.
That
Those
would
still
not,
aren't
that
safe
still would not
zones.
necessarily be a
Okay.
safe area to put folks into, to try and say, yeah, you can go there and be perfectly safe as the fire moves
bet.
across this landscape.
You bet. So just a part of our communication strategy is to be transparent about what it is that we are doing and what it is we're facing out here in the wilderness. And so by being able to explain this to you and share what it is we're working with, we're hoping that we can give you a little bit of comfort level about what is going on out here. We are paying attention to what's happening. We have the tools in place. We've had a really good surge of additional personnel and equipment, especially as we work on our suppression repair on other parts of the fire. But we do have firefighters and the aircraft and everything available to us to monitor this and to be ready and move should things change, especially with the change in the weather that is anticipated this weekend. Byron, I really appreciate you sitting down and talking with us this afternoon.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you, and thank you all. As soon as we know more and have more to share, we'll be right back here with you. So thank you very much.